Good morning, dear students. So, till now we were discussing about the curriculum development, and we have started with the first step of curriculum development, that is a formulation of educational objective. And now we know what is an educational objective and what are the main classification systems of educational objectives. And in that, in the previous class, we stopped in the Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives, and we know that that is the or a system of arrangements or a science of arrangement through which we will be arranging the students' behavior in various levels. Okay, behavior change we are trying to predict, and we will be categorizing in certain domains and levels. Okay, so there are three domains that we know, that is cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. Okay, now we can see how this level will be coming. So each of these is further divided according to the level of behavior. So these three domains further dividing in each levels, and these levels will be based on the behavior of the student. Okay, so that will be progressing from the most simple to the highly complex. That means when we are starting learning something, what will be the base level, and from that the student will be progressing into the higher levels, and that will be included in the cognitive or in each domains of the students learning objectives. Okay, so the levels are arranged in the form of hierarchy, so that the behaviors at any level will incorporate those of the levels below. So we can understand that after crossing the first level, only the students will be able to reach the second. And when the student is in third level, we can understand that the student has succeeded first and second level. So when the student is in the third or fourth level, already we can expect that the level 1 and 2 will be known to the student. Okay, then only the student will be able to reach the third or fourth level. So this is the domains and levels. So now we can see what are the three domains and how we can define it. So the cognitive domain is concerned with the knowledge and intellectual abilities. This is by Bloom. So he defines that cognitive domain as deals with the knowledge, intellectual abilities. So the awareness, understanding which is happening in our brain and processing everything comes in the cognitive domain. Okay, so the intelligence, abilities, everything that is in the cognitive domain according to Bloom. And the second is the affective domain, and it is given by Krath. And affective domain is concerned with attitudes, values, interest, and appreciation. So when we know something, we should have that inner feelings of attitudes, values, interest, and appreciation, like understanding the importance of that particular knowledge. So these all comes in the affective domain, and it is by Karath. And the third domain, that is psychomotor domain, is concerned with the motor skills. So they have the knowledge, affective domain, and they should be able to do something. So by knowing, they may not be able to do. So when they are doing, skills are demonstrated, it comes in the psychomotor domain. And these are the three domains in which we will be defining the students' behavior and the objectives, and there are certain levels of behavior in each domain. So now we can see in each domain how the levels, that is the taxonomic levels of behavior we are categorizing, that we can see in the cognitive domain first. So in cognitive domain, there are 6 levels of objectives. Okay, there are 6 levels of objectives. And the first level is the knowledge, because we starts from the bottom to the top. That means when we are starting learning, it will be the first level, or the understanding will be in the first level. and the student is progressing into the higher order or higher levels. Okay, so the level 1, it is knowledge. The second one is comprehension. Third level is application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So these are the 6 levels of objectives. Okay, knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Hope you all are clear with the names of 6 levels, and it is according to Bloom. Okay, so we can see what is level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6. Okay, so level 1, that is knowledge. Here what happens for a student behavior is they will be able to recall the methods, specifics, universals, and processes or structure. So that means when they studied something, they will be able to reproduce it. That is, by recalling the learned material, they will be able to reproduce it. That means if I am asking the definition of educational objectives, in the previous class, we have studied the educational objectives definition or the curriculum definition in the previous classes. So you are recalling what is learned. Okay, what is learned is recalled, and you are reproducing, and you are giving the feedback. That is the knowledge. Okay, so if you know the heart structure, you are recalling the knowledge what you know regarding the chambers of the heart, and you are producing in front of the teacher. So that is the knowledge. So usually the action verbs which we will be using for this level behavior will be define, state, list, name, outline, write, recall, recognize, etc. So define education, state the names of different country or something like that. List the parts of heart. Name the Prime Minister of India. So these are the examples of knowledge. In these all activities, what you are doing is the knowledge what you have is recollecting. Okay, you are just recollecting the information that you know, and you are giving to the teacher. So this is the first level, knowledge. Okay, hope you all understood. Now you are going to the second level, that is the comprehension. So comprehension, that is use of information in the form of translation, interpretation, and extrapolation. So here what is happening is the information what you know is translated or interpreted or extrapolation. So translation, these 3 terms we will be explaining. That is translation, that means another word is used instead of a non-word. Okay, like instead of fire, I am using any other term, maybe in English or Malayalam or in any other language, because I know what is the meaning of fire, and I know what it is, and other names also other I know. That is the translation. Okay, then interpretation, that means I know what is fire, and I am giving an explanation regarding that in my own words. That is interpretation. Okay, interpretation, what is the meaning of that in my own words I will be explaining. So for example, if I am asking the definition of curriculum in your own words, maybe it may not be the definition which is given by Cunningham, you are explaining in your own words what you understood regarding this particular curriculum. So that is the interpretation which we are using in this particular comprehension level. And extrapolation, that is usually happening in examination time. Like from the known words, we are bringing some unknown words or unknown explanation is given. So we know something in the words, we will be knowing something what it is. Maybe exactly the meaning, or may not be. We will be writing in our own words from the known things to unknown. ഓക്കെ, ചില സമയത്ത് ചില ചോദ്യങ്ങൾ നമുക്ക് അറിയാവുന്ന ചോദ്യങ്ങളായിരിക്കില്ല. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മളത് വായിച്ച് നോക്കിക്കഴിയുമ്പോൾ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു വേർഡ് നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലായത് വെച്ച് എഴുതുന്നതിനെയാണ് എക്സ്ട്രാപൊളേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. സോ ദർ ഇസ് ട്രാൻസ്ലേഷൻ, ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് another meaning from the particular word. We are using another word, maybe in English or any other language, or in same language also we are using നാനാർത്ഥങ്ങൾ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് പോലെ ട്രാൻസ്ലേഷൻ. ഓക്കെ, interpretation, that we are trying to give the meaning in our own words, and extrapolation, that we are trying to write the things from the known to unknown, because we don't know what it exactly, but something we know, from that we are trying to write a paragraph or a sentence. That is the extrapolation. So it can be the action words like identify, justify, select, indicate, illustrate, represent, name, formulate, explain, contrast, classify, translate, convert, etc. So these are the action verbs which can be used in the second level, that is comprehension. The next one is application. So application, that is the ability to use the learned material such as rules, principles, concepts, etc. to new and real situations. So that means we learned something. We learned some material, maybe rules, principles, or the concepts, so that we are trying to apply in a new or real situation. So for example, like when we are meeting a person with diabetes mellitus, we know that there are certain factors which is contributing to the incidence of this diabetes mellitus. So we are asking the basic principles, like we know the etiology. So based on that, we are trying to ask some questions from the patient, or we are trying to collect the history from the patient. So that is the application. So something we know that we are trying to apply in a real situation. That is the ability to use the learned material in a new or real situation. So when we are asking questions to the diabetes mellitus, we will be asking whether you have the exercise, whether you eat more carbohydrate diet. So these all, we know that these are the etiological factors, and that why we are trying to apply in our real situation. So hope you are clear. That is the application, ability to use the learned material in a real or new situation. Action verbs can be predicts, select, assess, explain, choose, find, show, demonstrate, construct, compute, etc. So these are the application, the third level, that is application, okay, in the cognitive domain. The fourth one is analysis, that is ability to break down information into its component parts, which may be elements of information, relationship between elements, and organization of information. So we are trying to break down the information into the component parts. So when you are going into meet a patient, we will be trying to divide the questions, okay, like whole information, you know, diabetes mellitus, the same previous example I am quoting. So you studied in classrooms like diabetes, what is the etiology, the complete picture you know regarding the information you know regarding the diabetes mellitus. And when you are going to the patient, you are trying to analyze in such a way that you are trying to break down the information which you have in different headings, you are dividing, and you will be facing the patient. So that is the analysis. So you will be asking regarding different questions, and based on the information you will be analyzing the patient's reasons, patient's clinical manifestations, how the pathological changes happened in that particular patient, and what nursing management can be given. So these all things you will be analyzing. The information that you have regarding the diabetes, you are breaking down and using, that is the analysis. Action verbs can be analyze, identify, conclude, differentiate, select, separate, compare, etc. So these are the action verbs. So I will be explaining how to use this action verb also. So that's about the fourth step or fourth level of cognitive domain, that is analysis. Okay. The fifth level is synthesis, that is combine various parts to whole. Stress creative behaviors with major emphasis on the formulation of new patterns or structures. So that is what happens is we are already in analysis, we have divided into different parts and we are trying to combine these different parts into a whole. That means we are trying to create something like, for when you are writing the case study, this is an example like a diabetes patient, like we are dividing and analyzing, and for this patient what care can be given, or based on the informations which is analyzed and collected from the patient, we are now synthesizing a nursing care plan very specifically for that particular patient. That is the synthesis. For that we should have the application, we should know, we should pass through the previous steps like knowledge. The person should have a knowledge regarding diabetes, comprehension, that is translation, interpretation and extrapolation should be there, and they should be able to apply and they should be able to analyze. Now they are going to synthesize a new care plan for that particular patient based on the informations which we have. So that is about the synthesis. Okay, we are making a whole from different parts for that particular situation. Okay, action verbs can be combine, restate, summarize, precise, compose, argue, discuss, organize, derive, plan, select, etc. So these are the synthesis, level 5. Okay. In sixth level, the evaluation is happening, that is the highest level. So here the ability to judge the value of material for a given purpose. So now we are trying to make a judgment over the material which is given. So for example, when we are producing something in front of others, we should be able to judge that particular product, like whether it is good or bad. To maybe when we are purchasing a particular sari or a chudidar, what happens is we are trying to judge, we are giving a judgment over the price, whether it is good or not, quality is good or not. So you should have a common sense, or you should have a knowledge regarding these all things, then only you will be able to judge. So that is a final or highest level according to Bloom, that is ability to judge the value of material for a given purpose. So when the students are submitting an assignment, the teacher will be able to give a mark for them, that is the judgment is given, a value is given. That is the role of teacher when we are going for evaluation. So this is the highest level according to Bloom. And action verbs are judge, evaluate, determine, recognize, support, defend, criticize, identify, avoid, select, choose, compare, contrast, justify, etc. So these are the 6 levels of cognitive domain. So already we know that we discussed about 6 levels: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. So this is the according to Bloom. So later what happens in Bloom's taxonomy for cognitive domain was, Lorin Anderson, a former student of Bloom, and David Krathwohl revisited the cognitive domain in the mid 90s and made some changes. So actually this particular person, Anderson, as the student of Bloom, he revisited, that means he visited this particular cognitive domain and found some mistakes, so some rearrangement was done by this particular Lorin Anderson. So that is changing the names in the 6 categories from noun to verb form. So three changes he made us. It was in noun form according to Bloom, and now it is changed into verb form. Okay, verb form, action verb form. And he has made some rearrangements in this Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive domain. So then it comes the Bloom's Revised Taxonomy. So that is about the Bloom's Revised Taxonomy. So how it changed is, the original domain was regarding like knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis and evaluation, and that made into verb form and some rearrangement was done. So instead of knowledge, now it is remembering. Instead of comprehension, now it is understanding. Instead of application, now it is applying. Instead of analysis, now it is analyzing. And the synthesis is brought to the top, that is made as creating. And evaluation is brought to the fifth level, that is evaluating. So only rearrangement was done in the top fourth and fifth position, and remaining all levels the term is changed into verb form. So this is the original domain, and the present domain it is like this. Okay, hope you all understood what the change happened. And but the the explanation is still same. Remembering, that is a recall or retrieve of previous learned information, that is the same. Understanding, comprehending the meaning, translation, interpolation and extrapolation of interpretation of interpolation or extrapolation and interpretation of instructions and problems, state a problem in one's own words. So that is our understanding. Initially it was comprehension. And applying, that is use a concept in new situation or unprompted use of an abstraction, applies what was learned in the classroom into novel situation in the workplace. So in a new situation, we are trying to apply the information what we got from the classroom. So that is the application or apply. Next is analyzing. Initially it was analysis in noun form. Now it is verb analyzing. Separates material or concepts into component parts so that its organizational structure may be understood. Distinguishes between facts and inferences. So we will be trying to analyze the present situation. In a new situation, when you are getting a patient, we will be analyzing what is there or what is the change and what information I have, and we will be comparing, making inference with the real patient. That is the analyzing. Next is the evaluating, that is make judgments about the value of ideas or materials. That is evaluating. Make judgments about the value of ideas or materials. Okay. Now it is creating, that is the last one. Builds a structure or pattern from diverse elements, put parts together to form a whole with emphasis on creating a new meaning or a structure. So when we are able to make a new information based on that by analyzing, synthesizing, then it comes as a creating. So we are making a new pattern of information. Like we are making a new pattern of information, that is creating. So this is about the levels of cognitive domain. Okay. So hope you all understood this particular topic which we discussed. It is only the first domain of Bloom's taxonomy, cognitive domain. Okay. Thank you for kind listening. Thank you very much.